And with that 34th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chargers select McConkey, wide receiver.
The 2024 NFL Draft can be summarized with the title of one of Clint Eastwood's most iconic movies: The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Jane Daniels, Malik Neighbors, and Jared Verse headlined the long list of rookies who came as advertised. Other rookies completely surpassed expectations, while others, they flopped to the point where they're already nearing bust territory. So with that, let's dive into 5 2025 NFL Draft picks that already look like massive steals and 5 that look like big-time busts.
In the 2024 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Byron Murphy.
Steal? Cooper DeJean. The standout corner from Iowa was widely projected to be a first-round pick. Well, fast forward 1 year later, and we bet he'd be a top 10 selection in a 2024 draft do-over. DeJean, Toledo's Quinion Mitchell, and Alabama's Terrion Arnold were the consensus top 3 corners in this class. The Philadelphia Eagles took Mitchell 22nd overall, with Arnold going to the Detroit Lions 2 picks later. But Eagles GM Howie Roseman wasn't happy with one of the big 3 corners. He wanted 2, so the savvy executive traded up with the NFC East rival Washington Commanders to take DeJean 40th overall.
The Philadelphia Eagles select Cooper DeJean, DB, Iowa. Let's go.
Cooper DeJean in Iowa, celebrating the moment.
DeJean immediately emerged as a shining star in Philly's defense, recording 6 pass breakups and 3 fumble recoveries. He finished with a Pro Football Focus grade of 82.7, 4th best at the position. His 90.8 run defense grade also ranked 2nd among all corners. And to put a cherry on top of all that, DeJean had a 38-yard pick 6 off of Patrick Mahomes in Super Bowl 59 that basically put the game away early for Philly. The Eagles went on to win 40-22, which just happened to mark the birthdays of DeJean and Saquon Barkley. With DeJean and Mitchell leading the way, the Eagles' secondary is well positioned to continue dominating for years to come. Bust Dallas Turner. Considering what the Minnesota Vikings gave up to get Dallas Turner, he had to produce like a Pro Bowler in year 1. Cue narrator, he didn't. The Vikings made a blockbuster trade with the Houston Texans to acquire the number 23 pick in the draft. Minnesota then used another deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars to move up 6 spots so they could take the Alabama edge rusher with the 17th pick.
The Minnesota Vikings select Dallas Turner, linebacker, Alabama.
As calculated by ESPN analytics expert Seth Walker, Minnesota basically gave up 2 mid-first-round picks to get Turner. Turner played less than a third of Minnesota's defensive snaps and had just 3 sacks in 16 games. His 63.9 overall grade at PFF also placed Turner 90th among 211 graded edge defenders. That 55.2 pass rush grade was 149th at the position too. To make matters worse, the Vikings didn't even need Turner. They had the number 5 scoring defense and finished with 49 sacks, tied for 4th in football. The Vikings also moved quickly to sign ex-Washington Commanders star defensive tackle Jonathan Allen in 2025 free agency to bolster their pass rush. With Allen, Andrew, Van Ginkel, and Jonathan Grenard leading the way, Minnesota's front 7 is set up nicely long-term without Turner. Factor this in along with the price that Minnesota paid to get him, and yeah, Turner better somehow emerge as an all-pro caliber talent down the stretch. Steal? McConkey. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze headlined the 2024 wide receiver draft class. The former son of the Indianapolis Colts legend and Hall of Famer Marvin Harrison was even regarded as a generational prospect. But instead, it was Neighbors, Jacksonville Jaguars star Brian Thomas Jr., and McConkey who emerged as the top rookie receivers in 2024. If the NFL ever held a redraft, Thomas and McConkey would have gone way earlier. The Los Angeles Chargers used the number 34 pick on McConkey, having traded up via the New England Patriots to get their man. And boy, did the Bolts ever hit the jackpot with the McConkey pick following the risky decision to cut ties with both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. New head coach Jim Harbaugh prioritized running the ball with new RBs Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. That meant a lesser workload for superstar quarterback Justin Herbert, and it paid dividends. The Bolts rode their ground game in the league's number 1 scoring defense to 11 wins and the club's first playoff berth in 3 years. But they might not get to the postseason in the first place without McConkey, who finished with 82 catches for 1,149 yards and 7 touchdowns. McConkey finished in the top 4 among rookies in each of those categories. Now, if the Chargers could just find a legitimate number 2 receiver to take the pressure off the Georgia product. Bust Byron Murphy II. It was a bit of a surprise when the Seattle Seahawks used the number 16 pick on Texas defensive tackle Byron Murphy II. No relation to the Minnesota Vikings star cornerback.
Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Byron Murphy, defensive tackle, Texas.
With Leonard Williams, Boye Mafe, Draymond Jones, and Derek Hall in the fold, the Seahawks really didn't need more defensive linemen. Sure enough, Murphy didn't make the impact that Seattle needed under new head coach Mike Macdonald. Murphy played just under 50% of Seattle's defensive snaps in the 14 games that he suited up for, recording just half a sack, no takeaways, and 0 pass breakups. His 58.2 overall grade at PFF ranked 91st among interior defensive linemen. Yeah, hardly inspiring, we know. Of course, Murphy is going to need more playing time in 2025 if he's to hit his ceiling. The Seattle's run D was leaky at best, allowing 120.8 rushing yards per game. So the kid just needs the chance to actually succeed and shed this early bust label. Steal? Dominick Puni. Just about nothing went right for the San Francisco 49ers in 2024. Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk combined to play 11 games. Brock Purdy, Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave, Charvarius Ward, and Talanoa Hufanga all missed significant time as well. All those injuries were far too much for Kyle Shanahan's squad to overcome, as the defending NFC champs limped to an ugly 6-11 record and last place finish in the NFC West. But there was one silver lining that many folks overlooked: the emergence of rookie guard Dominick Puni, a Kansas product who fell to them in round 3 at number 86 overall. Per Pro Football Focus, Puni allowed just 3 sacks on 656 pass blocking snaps. His 80.5 grade at PFF ranked 11th among guards, highlighted by an 81.5 run blocking grade that ranked 9th at the position. With better health, the 49ers should be a contender again in 2025. They can at least be excited about a Puni-Trent Williams offensive line duo that should be among football's best. Bust Terrion Arnold. Not every highly touted cornerback can produce like Patrick Surtain or Sauce Gardner right away, but the Lions still expected better from Terrion Arnold. Yeah, it was unfair to put pressure on the rookie, but the Lions needed more from him, considering the ridiculous number of injuries that they dealt with on defense. The Lions traded up via the Dallas Cowboys to select the promising Alabama cornerback with the number 24 pick. Arnold was joining a Detroit secondary featuring veteran stalwart Carlton Davis and rising star Brian Branch Jr., so he was in position to produce right away. According to Pro Football Reference, Arnold allowed 660 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns in coverage. Arnold also allowed a woeful 93.7 passer rating when targeted. Arnold was no better in the Lions' stunning divisional round loss at home to Jaden Daniels' Washington Commanders, allowing 6 completions on 8 targets for 91 yards and a touchdown. PFF graded Arnold at 51.5 for the season, including a terrible 50.4 coverage grade that placed him 176th among 223 graded corners. Ultimately, Detroit's inability to stop the passing game against Washington led to their undoing, and Arnold's struggles were a key reason as to why. Lots of time to turn it around, but boy, he may be better off looking away from all rookie game film and starting afresh in 2025. Steal? Zach Frazier. There is just something about the Pittsburgh Steelers finding stud players on the offensive side of the ball after round 1. In this case, say hello to their hidden gem find of 2024. With the number 51 selection, Steelers GM Omar Khan took a flyer on West Virginia center Zach Frazier. The starting center job opened up following the release of veteran Mason Cole, but Frazier was expected to back up Nate Herbig on the depth chart. A season-ending injury to Herbig in the summer, however, forced the Steelers to put Frazier in the starting center spot. And lo and behold, the black and gold found their new rock on the O-line. Per PFF, Frazier only allowed 1 sack and finished with a 76.8 overall grade and a run blocking grade of 79.7, both 6th among centers. Additionally, he finished 17th in ESPN's pass blocking win rate among interior offensive linemen. And to think that highly touted 2024 first-round pick Troy Fautanu hasn't even become a starter yet. Amid long-term uncertainty at quarterback, the Steelers at least have a beautiful long-term outlook on the O-line. Bust Xavier Legette. After the Buffalo Bills traded down with the Kansas City Chiefs into the number 32 spot, GM Brandon Beane dealt that pick to the Carolina Panthers to move down into the 33rd slot. With the number 32 pick, Panthers GM Dan Morgan selected promising South Carolina speedster and wideout Xavier Legette. Having also acquired ex-Steelers Pro Bowler Deontay Johnson via trade, a DJ Legette Adam Thielen receiving trio suddenly looked real promising for Bryce Young. Well, the number 1 pick of 2023 showed immense improvement last season, which is amazing, considering that none of those receivers really made significant impacts in any way. Legette was awfully inconsistent as a rookie, finishing with only 49 catches for 497 yards and 4 touchdowns. He only finished with at least 60 receiving yards once, and with 50-plus yards 3 times. The Legette pick stings even more because Carolina passed on more productive players like fellow wideouts Keon Coleman, Ladd McConkey, Braden Fisk, and Cooper DeJean. It's not too late for Legette to grow into a WR1, but the early returns are not inspiring. Steal Bucky Irving. Nobody paid much attention when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers drafted Irving in the 4th round at number 125 overall. And it wasn't necessarily because he was a late-round pick, but rather because Tampa Bay already had a stud RB1 in Rachaad White. The Bucs' 2022 third-round pick was coming off a breakout season that saw him rack up 990 rushing yards, 1,539 yards from scrimmage, and 9 total touchdowns. Surely, this little-known 4th-round pick out of Oregon wasn't gonna do that much, right? Well, both running backs got off to a slow start, but Irving started to put it all together when the calendar flipped to week 6. He emerged as Tampa's lead running back and exceeded 100 yards rushing 3 times in the second half, leading the Bucs to a 4th straight NFC South Division crown. Irving finished his rookie year with 1,122 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, and 1,514 total yards of offense. He also had a receiving touchdown in the Bucs' wildcard round loss to the Commanders. Tampa looked doomed when they lost superstar wideout Chris Godwin for the season with a gruesome ankle injury. But instead, Irving, Baker Mayfield, and Mike Evans rose to the occasion and propelled Todd Bowles' team to yet another division title, which was also thanks in large part to the Atlanta Falcons' second half collapse. The Bucs offense was scary enough in 2023. Aside from having to game plan against a top 5 receiving duo, opposing defenses now gotta focus on the lethal Irving White running back tandem. Bust J.C. Latham. You know, it felt like quite the reach when the Tennessee Titans used the number 7 pick on Alabama offensive lineman J.C. Latham. There were better value picks and far more polished prospects on the board, including Rome Odunze, Brock Bowers, and J.J. McCarthy. And yep, sure enough, Latham disappointed mightily as a rookie and hardly looks like someone worthy of being a top 7 pick. The selection was a little baffling at the time, since Tennessee had also used a 2023 first-round pick on Peter Skoronski, and there were certainly other positions of need here. Per Pro Football Focus, Latham allowed 7 sacks and committed 10 penalties on 1,095 snaps. He finished with a mediocre PFF grade of 61.8, which ranked 70th among 141 qualified offensive tackles. His 57.0 run blocking grade ranked 92nd at the position too. Overall, it ain't looking too hot for Latham. But hey, who were some of the other biggest steals or busts of the 2024 NFL Draft? Were there any notable names that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.